What is going on, guys? This is Miasin. I was actually looking at the wrong way because I forgot that I didn't bring my camera, Bernard, because it's too big. And you know, when you got like really big things, it's really hard to like carry them around. And okay, I'll stop saying stupid things. Anyways, today I will be going over the best decks from the current format, not upcoming, Jesus. And yeah, really fun and really enjoyable format, Kick W. Yeah, so this is Legacy of Destruction. Yes, I think. Basically, the newer set that we're pretty much all playing with at the moment. But yeah, before we go any further, I would really appreciate you guys if you could smash the like and subscribe button. Thank you so much. And now let's get right into it without wasting any more of your time. So the first deck is Tier Elements. You're not that great, honestly. It's just another RNG deck. Okay, Labyrinth. The more I see this deck in action, the more I like it, because a good player is just... he has the potential to do so much with this deck. It's really scary. Once you allow them to play the game, they're just unstoppable. The issue with this deck is getting started in the first place. It reminds me a lot of like Paleozoics from the good old days. You can't lose once you summon your first Toad. And Labyrinth, honestly, when you resolve your first Lovely, you can't lose either. It's pretty much the same thing. And there's also a lot of ways to like keep up with your opponent like on turn 0 and stuff. Not just like hand traps, but also, you know, like your actual Labyrinth engine can interrupt your opponent. Just like Tier Elements, they had Havness into like a bunch of ways to fuse. This deck, you can also do like furnitures and then like randomly destroy cards on your field and hand and stuff like that. The deck is just really well equipped to beat pretty much everything, and Ghost Bell is not really seeing that much play at the moment. This deck does lose to Bestials a little bit more, but Bestials are also not super great at the moment, so I actually think Labyrinth is in a very, very good position, and we've actually seen the results actually at YCS Rally, I believe, second place with Labyrinth. Okay, Shark is not really good. You're at least an MVP for playing the deck in the first place. Centurion is insane with the new support because it can play Shifter now. I actually hate judging decks like that, you know. Oh, you're good because you can play Shifter, but I mean, it is what it is. You know, if your deck doesn't lose to Shifter and it can play Shifter and it can FTK with one card because King Calamity somehow magically dodged the ban list, that was not smart. Konami should have definitely banned that card. Unfortunately, you know, this deck just keeps getting, you know, it gets a pass every single time, and because of that, unfortunately, it's still a good deck, so what can I say? You know, it's just... And also, in a world where hand traps are losing a bit in popularity, and people are maybe playing board breakers that are not really great, like Triple Tactic Talents against this deck, you know, that's good for you. Anyways, Thunder Dragon Colossus, Thunder Dragon, period. There are two ways of playing this deck, so you can either play like pure Thunder Dragon or the combo version. I want to say its performance really like depends on what people choose to go with at your environment. It does have a lot of bad matchups, like Purely, for example, looks like a terrible matchup. And if your only end board is like Colossus Pass, you can also lose to like Typhon and stuff like that, depending on how many summons you had to like go into like to make it. If you go like Titan and Colossus, you can lose even harder to certain things. And if people have like, you know, Forbidden Droplet and stuff like that, then your Colossus also won't be doing too much. It's still a decent deck, but if you're only playing like pure Thunder Dragon, I don't think you can do enough. Even though I've showcased combos with this deck and I still believe it's good, I think the combo version is a little better. So I still think it's a respectable deck. I'm gonna put it at the very top of mid, but that doesn't mean it's garbage. Mid doesn't mean bad. It just means like you're in the middle, you know, that's what it stands for. But yeah, obviously I'm missing one row, which would have been like the bad decks that aren't like complete trash, but this is like kind of a small compilation. It's only 35 decks, so we're not gonna be staying here until tomorrow to make this video. Anyways, Flunderies, I hate this deck, but unfortunately it's very good. That's all I have to say. Sword Soul, that's another mid deck, but again, not bad. It can abuse Protos, but that's about all the unfair things it can do. Other than that, Sword Soul is just like a naturally power crept deck. It's never been unfair other than, again, Protos, and the actual engine itself is fine. Chi Jiao is fine. Blackout is a good card. I mean, it's, you know, it's a cute deck. It's a very balanced deck. It's, you know, it's fair. So that's the reason why it's in mid, because it's not unfair. Purely, on the other hand, I think is remarkable. It's insane. It's one of the best decks in the current format by a very long shot. I mean, one of the best decks, not like the best deck, but yeah, this deck just has the ability to break boards naturally without having to rely on like non-engine and stuff like that. You can naturally beat hand traps because you got the field spell. You can protect yourself from Ghost Ogre because of Happy Memory. You can do some things, a lot of things. You can kill your opponent through Undestructible by like everything monsters. You can summon unaffected by card effect monsters with a lot of attack and defense because now there's 2 delicious. So we're back to having to be afraid of big kitties that are not only unaffected but that don't die and that also are extremely thick. So because of that, this deck is very scary. 2 delicious memory was a big mistake. And this deck can also search some large fiends. Again, big shoutouts to Din for, or rather Kang, I guess, for you know, telling the whole world about this. So yeah, he's an insane purely player. So that's yeah, that's a great way to like get better at the game. You follow his post and everything, and you also get coaching from him. It's gonna help out for sure. Anyways, Yubel is next up. Very good deck. I'm probably gonna put it. It's close to Labyrinth, honestly. It's not a super hardcore combo deck. It's probably in the top 10 best decks at the moment, but without Phantom of Yubel, it's not like super insane. So it's a great deck for sure again. And also, I think people don't really know what to do against it yet, so you can definitely take this to your advantage. Definitely a great deck. Phantom Knight, just don't really know where to put this. It's also another good deck, but the bad hands are like really bad in this deck. That's my issue, because you're playing a lot of engines that can just be bad. Like you can draw like Happy and Duamutef. You can draw like the Adventure, like Equip Spell and Griffin. You can draw like the Phantom Knight traps. There's just like too many like undesirable cards. There are a lot of ways to make them live, but there is also like a lot of ways I can see people just not being lucky with this deck. It has like almost no consistency issues. That's not really the issue. It's just that sometimes you're going second and you're drawing 2 bricks, so you're basically playing with 4 cards, and then you need like 2 hand traps to stop your opponent so that you're playing with 2 cards, and then one of your plays gets stopped or 2 of your plays get stopped and you lose because you don't have enough live cards to win. And that's my issue. So it just like it falls into the same category as all the decks in the section. They're all capable of putting up like really big boards. Can they do it really realistically? Maybe yes, maybe not. Okay, Sky Striker is the definition of a Copium deck. It would be very disrespectful to put it in mid. The Sky Striker engine is probably in the Unice section, but definitely not the deck. Even with re-engage, this deck is way too slow. And if you play against something like, let's say, Tenpai Dragon, forget about it. You're dead before the game even starts, so you can just sign the match slip, honestly. It would be probably one of your worst matchups, because you're trying to go second, they're trying to go second, they make you go first, they kill you, and if you make them go first, then they don't even have to do anything, they can pass, and then you can't kill them because your deck just deals like 3k damage, and then you pass, and then they kaiju you, they shut down all of your Widow Anchors, and then they kill you. It is absolutely horrendous. Anyways, Chimera, very good deck. It's probably the worst deck in the Unice section because it can play with 1 card. It just got like a nice consistency boost with the illusion support from Legacy of Destruction. It can search Cornfield Coatl, even though I don't even think that's necessary. It just makes you lose even harder to drool. And another thing is that, sorry, my brain just stopped functioning. Oh yeah, Diabelzi of the Original Sin. Great card. And you can just special summon it. I mean, you can access it with your engine. And it's pretty much like almost an anti-spell, but not really. It's an anti-spell at home, but still. A very good card. And the deck can abuse, you know, End of Anubis, King Tiger Wanghu, which is game against Flunderies, and Yubel, I believe. And you can also just insta-win against almost everything that doesn't play Dark Monsters because of the Dark Bear statue. I don't know if I mentioned that already. Okay, Sun Avalon. This deck is... It just keeps disappointing me the more I see tournament reports from everywhere outside of Europe. I only know 1 human on Earth who plays that. I mean, 1 human in North America who plays this deck. He's a good player, don't get me wrong. It's just that I'm sure it's a decent deck. I don't really know what it does because nobody plays it, but maybe nobody plays it because it's not great. Or maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, Salamangrate, another decent deck. Actually, I think it's better. Code of Soul is really good. The deck can beat Nibiru if you are playing conservative, but you typically require 2 to 3 card combos. Like the 2 card combo is like Salamangrate, Fire, and Circle, if I recall correctly. And yeah, you can't use the Circle if you're trying to beat Nibiru, so that's kind of an issue. And the 3 card combo, I mean, it really just eats Nibiru for breakfast, but it's a combo that requires a lot from you. So yeah, again, I don't know how realistic it is, because if you have to deal with Nibiru and other things, like going second, for example, you are completely screwed. So yeah, you just wait until like Nibiru gets banned completely, and then this deck is gonna be like super nice. Anyways, Runic Stun, this is... yeah, it's probably like maybe a little better or a little worse than Centurion, but it's a very annoying deck. You have to respect it. And that's all I have to say. It's annoying and you have to respect it. Okay, Voice's Voice, big fall from grace. It's still a good deck, but I'm less scared of Voice's Voice than actually, no, I'm probably gonna put it here. I'm actually more scared of Centurion than Voice's Voice because Centurion is an FTK deck. They shut down all of your opportunities to win with one single card. You gotta put this in your head. If you play against Centurion, you're not trying to grind with the deck, you're not trying to like outplay them, there's none of that, because they don't need to do much to beat you, they just resolve their combo and then you die. There's no mind games either. With Voice's Voice, they have to time their negates correctly because they only have one, and then they got the Saravage, which is a Solemn Warning that you can play around because it's a win effect, so if you're playing Tenpai Dragon, you can use effect and then effect of your monsters in battle phase, and then, the Saravage can't negate anything because you're summoning your Synchro and Chaining 2, so there's just so many ways of just outplaying Voice's Voice, but there's no way of outplaying Centurion or this or that, and they can all play Shifter, which is very cancerous. So, yeah, and again, Dimensional Barrier seeing play, it cripples Voice's Voice completely. This deck, again, just like I said, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, but this time, I think, is probably the worst format for Voice's Voice. Unless you're playing like Melodious and you keep winning dice rolls, then yeah, it's probably Happy Land City for you. Okay, a Plunder Patrol, it's a good deck. It's definitely a good deck, but I don't really know anyone who plays it, so I don't have much to say. This deck is bad. Melodious is insane, but it has the same issue of losing to D-Barrier. But it's a very powerful deck, very volatile as well though. Not really, actually, they don't lose to Drool, they don't lose to Nibiru, they lose a little bit to Veiler, Imperm, they can lose to Ogre if you draw Refrain and you gotta go through the Link monster and not Ostinato or First Movement solo, because that would be how you beat Ogre. You can also Ogre the Couplet, so even if they try to play around Ogre by trying to fusion summon instead of having to rely on the Link monster, you can still lose. It's a good deck, and I think it can still catch people off guard, so I'm gonna put it here. But at any point, I could see it like either dropping or actually going up over time. If people start playing the D-Bearer, this deck is going to be even better. Okay, Magispector, another trash deck. Who am I kidding? That deck sucks. No, never mind. Go down here. You're actually dog shit. This deck can't go second. And Kirin did not boost the deck. I know, that's shocking. The deck has the exact same issues as before, and now you're playing one extra brick in your deck. In a deck that already has issues with going second. Now you're playing another card that you can't Pendulum Summon. Imagine, Kirin is better in generic Pendulums than it is in its own deck. Let that sink in. This is pathetic. Anyways, Orcus, this deck is not bad. It's very similar to... I actually love how it's really similar to like Thunder Dragon and Phantom Knight. Literally in the exact same league. They're all interchangeable. I don't care how you position them, but as long as they're all next to each other, I'm satisfied. Okay, Despia is terrifying if played correctly. This deck could be anywhere between like here to here to here. But I think, piloted correctly, it is one of the best decks in the game by a long shot. This deck can win going second without having to rely on Dawn Engine, very similarly to Purely, but I think it does actually a better job. It also loses to D-Bear calling Fusion this time. This one loses to calling Xyz. It can FTK basically with a Gimmick Puppet Lock, which is game. Unless you're playing against Purely, then it's not game. But yeah, it's a really annoying deck. Okay, Kashtira. Let's see, where am I putting this? Kashtira is good. It's actually a little less scary than Runic Stun. I'd rather play against Kashtira, honestly. I'm not even that scared of this deck. I actually think the Kashtira engine is better than the Kashtira deck. I think Kashtira engine and Snake Eyes is really good. The Kashtira deck itself, it just lacks some oomph, you know? It just... Okay, you summon Unicorn, you get your search, and then what? You're gonna make a Shangri-La, you can't make a Rise Art, because otherwise the deck would be tier 0. But no, it's not the case. Okay, Dragon Link is very bad. It got the same treatment as Tier Elements, basically, because it just keeps losing its best cards. Like, it doesn't have Savage anymore, so it doesn't make Omni Negates, so how the hell can we justify this deck being good? By the way, Sword Soul, it got a boost and a nerf at the same time, because Baron is banned, but Protoss is unbanned, so it's like, okay, now you lose to Nibiru, but at the same time, you can basically almost FTK your opponent with Protoss. The issue, though, I mean, I guess you can still beat Nibiru with Chao Fang, which is good, but you need like a 10-y hand at this point, because the Sword Soul hands, they can't get you there. Anyways, the Yugi deck, it's pretty much comparable to like Plunder Patrol, interchangeable. It has like a very similar playstyle as well. It's really cute. It doesn't OTK or FTK or anything. It's like a back and forth deck that just like searches a lot every single turn, and it has a lot of like really niche hidden effects, just like Plunder Ritual, honestly. So that's the reason why I think they're in the same league. Blackwing, it's definitely better than all of these decks, so it has to at least be here, but it could also be here, or it could be here, or it could be here. Actually, I think it might be better than Chimera, or maybe Salam. I don't know. Yes, I don't. You know what? Who cares? I don't even care anymore. Okay, Ponix. Sorry, Farking. I don't know. Yeah, this deck is really good. I don't know if it's the best deck though, but it's one of my favorite decks for sure. Raid Raptor. Unfortunately, even though I love Raid Raptor, I will have to admit that going second, it has issues. But again, it's still a good deck. Going first, you're basically always winning all of your games, really. Okay, Pure Snake Eye. This is what I think has the potential to be the best deck at the moment. Snake Eye Diabell Star is nice if you know exactly what you're doing. There's some nice combos I am aware of that I can't necessarily say at the moment. This deck has some nice lines, some nice ways of, you know, mind gaming your opponent. It can do a lot of things that, again, I can't really say publicly, at least at the moment. But yeah, it's a really scary deck, and it can play a lot of non-engine as well. Okay, Dinomorphia, good deck, but at this point I don't even care. Okay, Vanquish Soul I actually think is garbage. It's just not a good deck at all. Rescuist I actually think is really bad. Yeah, it's still like much better than all those decks though. But I don't even think it's like any better than, or maybe it is, but whatever. Unchained probably here, and then Sprite here or here. 10 by Dragon is insane. It's really good. It's a really, really good deck. You want to lose dice rolls when you're playing 10 by Dragon. You don't give information, and if you win the dice roll, then you give information, but it's not that bad. Because you have hand traps for breaking board, I mean, to prevent boards from happening, and then you got board breakers, like you can play Lightning Storm Duster main deck. You can Prosperity Dig into them and still kill your opponent with one single card. This deck has a lot going for it, and it's very simple to play, but that's a double-edged sword because it also plays against you. Because of how simple it is to play, it can also be piloted by, you know, less than average players, and because of the fact that it has a very low skill ceiling, there is little that you can do to control like certain games, you know. You can't win them all. But yeah, anyways, that's all I had to say for the most part for this video. If you disagree or agree or whatever, if you got anything else to say, let me know in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.